The second graph you're going to look at is called a stem plot. It's also known as a stem and leaf plot from when you maybe were younger. Here's an example of a stem plot, and then I have the steps on your paper for constructing, so I'll explain it, and then we'll do an example of one. We have a title, so you would put your title up here, and then you have the stem part and the leaf part, and you have to include a key to show what it means. So when you see this, that tells you that this number means 61, so this number means 84, and then 86 and 88. So when you're doing a stem and leaf plot, you have to include a key so someone can read it. If they look at it and see no key, they might think this is 6.1, right? They might not know how heart rate is recorded. So you need to make sure you do a key. So the steps are, and what makes a stem plot is nice is you can see the shape of it, you can see the spread, and you can see all the data. And it's always nice to have all the data. We don't use commas, just so you know. They are just spaced out. So we have, it says separate each observation into a stem consisting of all but the rightmost digit and a leaf, the final digit. In the example above, the lowest observed rate is 61, so the stem of it is 6, and the leaf is 1. You write it vertically. Most of the time they're done vertically. You can do it horizontally also, but most of the time vertically. From increasing order from top to bottom, and draw the vertical line to the right of the stem. And you're going to put those, space the leaves equally and in order. So you definitely want to put them in numerical order. Make sure you put a title and then add a key. If you do have a lot of data, you can split the stem. And if you split the stem, then you just have to make sure that the same distance. So 60 to 64 and then 65 to 69. And you have to do that for all the stems. You don't want to have something that could go into both stems, so it has to go from one number to the other. So that's how we build one. So what I have is I have example of actually data about women and then men. So I'm going to take you through actually how to build them one about men, and then I'm going to show you how we actually do a back-to-back. So you would include your title, and in this case it's we would have first year college men would be our title over here, and make that a little smaller. So we have first year college men, and so what we would do is we would draw our line, and we would decide what's the best way to do this. So, and it doesn't really make a difference as long as you're consistent. You just have to be consistent. So it looks like we have a low of 70 to a high of, it looks like maybe 187. So the easiest thing to do would be to start at 7, and that would be our 70s, and then 80s, 90s, 100, 110, 120, 130, and we would just go 140, 150, 160, 170, and 180. So this would be our stem, and this would be our leaf for the men. And so what we would do is we would start with 70. So there's a 70 and there's a 75. So we would put 0 and we would put 5, no comma, just space them. So the 70s are done, and then we would do 80s. So looks like there's an 88, and that might be it. So I'll cross out as I go. We have 91, 92. Looks like that might be it. And then we have 100. So we have 108, 109, 104. So we have 4 comes first, then 8, then 9. We have, let's see, 113, 114, and 2, 115. So 113, 114, and 215. Now let's see what we have next. Get rid of all those. We have 126. And is that our only 120? Yeah. We have 132. the only one of those. We have a 40 and a 46. And let's see, we have a 51 and a 69. No 170s, but then we have a 180 and a 187. And that would be our stem and leaf plot for men. Make sure we put a key over here that says, 7/0 equals 70. You can do any value. It doesn't have to be the first one. And we can look at, this is a pretty wide range of 70 to 187. We can see that this group here has the most going up, and we can talk about range and shape and all that. We can also compare the two groups. So we can have men and then we can have women. So I'm going to leave the men and kind of move it over this way a little bit. And then you can do what's called a back-to-back. And you can put women over here. So we would have our first year college women. Sorry about my handwriting. But we'd have that. And then you would build the same one. Well, you'll notice on women up here, we don't have any 70s, 80s, and 90s. It starts with 101. So we would just leave those blank. But we do have a 101 and a 103 and a 109. So again, we would build those and we would go 1, and we would go 3, and we would go 9. Oops, not right there though. On the 10s. 1, 3, 9. So we can tell that men have lower numbers than women do. So we can make some comparison, which is nice. Let's see. We have in the 20s, we have a 29 and a 26. Oh, whoops, 15s first. Sorry, 15. It looks like that's the only teen, so we would have 115 here. And then we have 129, 126, and 126. Yeah, 29 and 2 26s, so we would do 6, 6, and 9. And then we would go and we would do 7, 3, so 37, 37. Looks like that's it. We have a 140, 148, a 140, and a 148. 150, we have 152, 154, 154, 152, 54, and 54. You want them to be spaced the same if you can. 265, a 78, and a 200. So 265, a 78, and we do have to go and include, even though we don't have 19 there, 20, so 200. So when you do a back-to-back stem and leaf plot as this, you can see then that men have lower scores than women. You look at the range of the two and you could compare those. You can see that this one looks like it's got definitely an outlier pulling it towards the women, the 200 there, and you can make comparison. But this is called a back-to-back, where you have two things that deal with the same thing and you want to compare them. We would just do the men if we only had the men's group, but since we have men and women, we can look at them together. Now try the one on your own. It's not a back-to-back, it's just a regular one, but try the one on your paper on your own.